Hey everyone, it is sip and chat time. I am Marlene of Love Marlene 411, where we have conversations about the tough topics. We we cover various topics that are very important ones, and why I say Love Marlene 411 is when we talk straight from the heart. So, welcome to the Sip and Chat. And the question is, what y'all sipping on today? Today, I am sipping on, I'll turn my camera on for a second. I'm about to pour this into my glass. I have a Waterloo summer berry drink. I'm trying to stay away from soda. So that's my soda alternative. Hey, puzzle pieces, how are you doing? Welcome in. Um, yes. So, oh, thank you so much for the super sticker. Really do appreciate that. I'm gonna play this. Thank you so much, puzzle pieces. I really do appreciate it. And I just put the link in the chat. So today, everybody, we're talking about the importance of seeking help. Um, I think it's so important to have this conversation. And here is my co-host, Miss Nexie.
Hey, Marlene.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Very well, thank you. You saw my drink?
Yes, I did. And I think I have to pass on the showing my drink right now because I'm in somebody's house
Oh, oh,
and I
I
don't want to
wouldn't
show
want
their
you
home.
to do that.
So I don't want to show their house. But how you doing? How's everything going with you? What are you
Oh,
sipping on today?
I'm
What is
I'm
it
having
called?
I'm having the one that I did on my blog channel, the drink
The watermelon.
Waterloo summer
Oh,
berry.
okay. Well, I was having coffee this morning, but right now I'm sipping on this thing called Hint. Water infused with watermelon essence.
Oh,
I'll,
I've had that before.
I love them so much. I love them so much. I got out so that I can give you like a screenshot.
Uh-oh, your mic went out, Nexie. Hey, baby girl vibes. How are you doing? Welcome. I hope your mic
There.
comes back. Oh, it's back now. Oh,
Can you see
yeah.
it?
Yeah, I see
Hold
it.
on. There he goes. There he goes. See?
Oh, very nice.
Yes, it's very nice. And this is very nice too. So I'm going to turn it off.
Yeah, turn it up.
I don't want them to say, "What are you doing in my house?"
Yeah. Stop showing my business.
Yeah, it's actually very pretty. It's actually, let me show you. Look at this. Look at
Oh,
this.
beautiful.
Yeah,
I'm
very.
jealous.
Yeah,
I'm on
me
my
too.
way. I'm on my way, Nexie.
Me too. Actually, I'm here, but that's not the point. It's actually a very nice and serene place. They love this house, and I understand why.
Yeah.
Anyway, so to our topic we go.
Yes. So, to our topic today, we're talking about the importance of seeking help. I want to start off first by saying this. It's very important to know that we don't always have to be perfect. I say that because that used to be my thing. Not everybody, but I know there are some people who are like me who always thought that they had to be perfect and that I can handle it. I can handle everything. I'm good. But a lot of times we aren't.
And actually, the topic is perfect because, like you, um, I think that my desire and my um, inability at the same time of being perfect is what messed me up, if I can say it in lame terms, right? It's what messed me up and got me to the point where you know we're going into today seeking the help that I needed. But I wanted it to be perfect. I wanted everything I did to be perfect, including raising my kids, having the perfect kids, you know what I mean? Having the perfect home, having the perfect everything. I wanted everything to be perfect. And that it's something that I, I didn't know how much I was striving for, but at the same time, I didn't know how much it was affecting me by not
Mm.
having that ability to be as perfect as I needed to be or wanted to be. I don't know.
Yeah, and we can't be perfect, and it's like we sometimes give ourselves like we set this high standard, and I always ask myself, what is the reason why? Who told you? Who gave you this standard? Who said it? And we sometimes set our own self up for all this stress, and we don't have to.
Marlene, I think for me, you actually said something key. Like who asked you to be like this? Who told you you had to be right? But for me, I think you as well as me come from a large family. So I think that for me, in order for me to be seen and in order for me to be the one that stands out, I that's what I think I had to do. Even though I had all the attention in the world, Marlene, because I did, but I wanted to be that perfect one that stood out from all of my siblings to my dad
Wow.
or to whoever. I don't know if you went through that as well because I know you are the baby as well.
Yeah. I definitely am. I'm the baby, and it's like, well, my whole thing is that I always felt like I had to make, like I always wanted to make everybody proud of me all the time. And there are times where you can't make them proud of you. You all you can do is make yourself proud.
Exactly. That is the only thing that actually that you can control. But the ability to get to this point that you and I are at right now, that the only one we can control is ourselves. I know it wasn't easy for me, so I'm pretty sure it wasn't easy for you as well.
No, it definitely was not easy for me because I wanted to, let's just say it like this. I put up a facade. I put up this pretend smile just to make myself appear one way, and I was dying inside.
Mm-hmm. There you go. And that's the thing. When you do that for so long, sometimes you don't even know why you're either stressing out, why you're breaking out in hives sometimes, right? Why your skin and your body is reacting to it because you've been there for so long that you cannot tell the difference on what's going on with me. You know what I mean? Your stress levels is constantly up, that there's a point that you cannot even tell how high it is or how low it is or how normal you are. It's just a weird phenomenon, which is what happened to me.
Oh,
Yep.
wow.
I started like when I started school and I was blaming it on the school. I was thinking, oh, it's the school. That's what it is. I started like breaking out. My hair started falling out a little, but mostly was my skin, Martin. I started getting this like patches of super dry parts of my skin, and it was again that striving for perfection because I started school, so I wanted it to be perfect as well.
Mhm.
Again,
Yep, I understand completely, and I was doing the same thing, stressing myself out so much. My hair started coming out too because I was. There's no way that you can make everybody happy and make yourself happy too.
And that's, it's important that you and I know that now, because we have acquired whatever, the ability actually to balance out, our lives, our personal lives, our work life, you know what I mean? Because they're two different things in our family lives. So it is important that we're here now, which is why it's important that we're going into the topic that we're going into now, the why, right?
Yeah, the why. So I have to say that, in speaking about, the importance of seeking help, I want to say to everyone, it's nothing wrong with if you find that you're not coping well with your life, or you've been through something traumatic, tragic, or just a difficult, really difficult period of time in your life. It's very important to seek help. And I don't mean just a therapist, I mean whatever it is that you need help with. I just finished talking about that on my other channel about how important it is to speak up, because a closed mouth doesn't get fed.
Exactly. And for like, again, we're going back to how broken sometimes you are, or how unable you are to read, your body signals, or your mood signals, or whatever. For me, it wasn't something that I, not like you seek the help that you needed. I didn't think I was broken. I didn't think I needed that help. I had to be literally pushed into it for me to understand that I needed, that particular help. So once I started getting that help, pretty much by force, is when I started understanding that, it was probably one of the best pushes that I have ever received in my life, to get the help that I didn't think I needed, but desperately, desperately, desperately wanted. I don't know if I make sense.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely makes sense, because a lot of times we can tell ourselves all day long how we're good and everything is all right with us, and we know inside we're struggling. We just don't want to admit it to ourselves. And my whole thing is I didn't want other people to find out that I needed some help. And when I say help, also is not just therapy. Help is also learning to delegate and to not be a micromanager, because I was definitely a person who always wanted to control everything. I wanted everything to be exactly how I want it to be. I want my house to be how I want it to be. Yeah,
Mm,
like that.
yes, so was I. I was that same type of person, but um, I, how can I put it? It was because people were not going to do it as good as I could, Marlene. They were not going to clean that table, or put the shelves back together, with the books and everything the way I did. They were not going to be able to clean the stove the way I do it, right? Even though cleaning is just cleaning. But even when it came to my kids, I couldn't delegate anyone to do anything, because they were not going to be able to do it the way I did. And that on itself is stressful once you learned, what you've been doing.
Yeah, and I can say for myself, I didn't find out how unbalanced I was. I didn't find out how toxic I was, until I passed through it and I had already got the help. And when I learned and I found the relief of, if you just ask people to take care of their own, like, people who are your relatives, to make sure they clean their space. Like, don't try to do everything for everyone, and don't, like, baby everybody. That's something that I had to learn. Stop babying everybody and let people step up and help themselves.
Exactly. And the thing is, most of the time, the whoever does whatever it is that the cleaning that you're asking them to do, or the food or the babysitting that you're asking them to do, they do it pretty much just like you do, one spot at a time, using the same cleaning products you have in the house. But when you're in that state of mind, you make not only yourselves, miserable, but the people around you, because you don't allow them to provide you with the help that they want to, and you don't allow them to grow as individuals too, because you're trying to control everything, and you make everybody's life, whew, let me tell
I know.
you.
I know. You make the people around you so miserable, and you don't really know that you're doing it. I think you're just trying to do the best that you can, but if you start paying attention, you'll see like your relatives, if you have kids, you'll see your kids are like so stressed out or aggravated because we can't have things perfect. We can't always do everything the best. We have to let, my whole thing is I had to learn to let other people be themselves and stop trying to control other people and just let them be themselves.
Yeah, that's the one thing that my dad always told me: life isn't perfect, baby. Life isn't perfect, and so are you, and so am I. And I will say, no, you're not, Dad. You're perfect, and I'm perfect too. That's how I want to be. I want to be perfect. So it started very early for me, that desire. And I feel that a lot of times, even I don't know if it's the same for you, Marlene, but for me, because of the way I was, super controlling, wanting to have everything a certain way, I pushed a lot of people away because they couldn't take it.
Yeah, and because nobody could ever live up to your standard, it's
Hmm.
like you had an impossible standard. Who could live up to an impossible standard like that?
Yeah, and that's what started happening to me. I will say that I will say it like, I mean, if she doesn't want to be part of me, that's fine. Then it's on her. She's the one missing out, right? But I didn't realize that I missed out as well, because I was trying so hard to be perfect and to be pleasing and show others how to be as perfect as I was. As a mom,
Yeah.
as a wife, as a working woman, as a person going to school, as a woman going to school, getting educated. So I wanted to show everybody so much that people started to literally run away from me.
Yeah. And you know what it is we don't realize how much help we need. And I don't just mean with your kids, I mean with your friends, I mean in the workplace, in all aspects of your life. When you need to seek some help, you're very unbalanced.
Yes, you are. It's something that you don't even realize, Marlene.
Your camera
How
is on.
Yeah, I wanted you to see
Oh, okay.
how broken it is, how broken you are inside. For me, I think that inability to see that is what, when I started school, that I said, this is the path I'm gonna take. Um, you know, I wanted, I wanted a degree in psychology and a bachelor's degree in psychology, and that's what I wanted to study. So I started taking classes and stuff like that, and we were required to go into therapy sessions. But for me, Marlene, look at how, uh, I don't know, considered, I guess I could say I was, that I was going to be the one delivering all of these new ways of coping and things like that. And I was going to be teaching people a lot of things and stuff with my genius. But I wasn't broken. I was going out there to fix people that were broken, right?
Oh,
And
guess what? I said I wanted to go to therapy so that I could fix my siblings because they were the ones that were messed up, not me. I was good. I'm
Well,
good. I said I'm good. I'm chilling.
I guess again, my perfect genius, because I was perfect. That perfect genius was gonna go out there and fix the world, but when the thing came up that I needed certain hours of clinical work and therapy work, because you're supposed to. I mean, how would you know what to look for if you don't go yourself to therapy, right? And I was like, you know
Exactly.
what? This is pretty cool. I'm just gonna go there. I mean, I'm gonna bribe him a little, bring him a coffee and stuff like that. Maybe we're gonna order takeout. And everybody
Yeah,
that
we're just
I
gonna
asked,
hang out, right?
yes, and everybody that I asked, Marlene, wouldn't give me information. I was like, so what do you guys do there? Do you guys? Oh, just go. You'll see. You'll see. Okay, does he like or she like anything in particular? Because at this point, I didn't know who I was gonna go with, right? And you'll find out as you go. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, okay, fine. They're trying to make it hard for me. What I didn't understand is that they were laughing. They were saying, "Oh, she thinks she's just gonna go there and sit down and talk about the weather,
Hmm.
what you had for dinner last night."
Hmm.
And so once I started going and I started getting, you know, that cold shoulder because it was. I was trying to, so you want to order something to eat? What are we gonna do? He's like, let's talk about you. I'm like, what? Oh, I get it. In the beginning, I was like, okay, I get it. It's my class, right? I'm the one trying to go for this. He wants to know more about me. And as we progressed, Marlene, I pushed so much. I don't know if you did this, but I pushed so much against it that at one point he was just sitting there. I said nothing. He said nothing. We were just sitting there for almost 40 minutes. Because I was like, okay, what's going on? Like, he's like, well, you don't want to talk, so we can sit here until you feel like talking. I was like, what are you, a child? And then
Yeah.
he turned around and he's like, no, I'm just giving you space. Whenever you're ready to take this seriously, then we can continue. And that's when he hit, oh my God, I'm in therapy.
Yeah. You didn't realize. And for me, my whole thing is I was just going to get the tools. I said, if you could just give me, about 5 or 6 good tips so that I could fix my siblings, then I'll get out of your hair. I said, this is easy for you. I'm making it easy. And they said, you don't need any help? No, no, I don't need no help.
Yeah, no, exactly. When he said, you know, because I went to a couple of them first. When he that day that he said, I'm just gonna sit here until you're ready to talk, and I was like, oh, fine then. I went to see another one, and this lady was, yeah. So what's going on? I know this is for your classes, blah blah blah. At this point, I had already been with the other therapist for like 4 weeks, right? And I started seeing, you know what? Maybe I should go back to him. I already have 4 weeks. Otherwise, oh, because she said we're gonna start from scratch again. I'm like, what about those four
Oh,
weeks?
no.
Yeah, what about those 4 weeks? But I know why she was doing it, Marlene. She told me later. She's like, I knew that if I told you you're gonna have to start all over again, you were gonna go back to your therapy.
Oh, it was on purpose.
Yes. She said we're gonna start from scratch. So those hours that you gained over there, we're not gonna be. And I'm like, do you guys play mind tricks with people? And then she's like, no, we just wanted you to get the help you needed. Because later on, after I graduated, I talked to her. She's like, we just knew that you needed this. But anyway, so I went back and I said, fine, we can talk. And then he asked me about my family. I said, oh yeah, I was raised, I come from a big family. There's 6 of us together, so I have 5 more siblings. And, I was raised by my dad. And then his head perked up. Oh, by your dad? Yeah, just for my dad. My mom left when I was 5, but I never needed her. I'm okay. I grew up okay
Hmm.
without her. I'm cool.
Yeah, you're
He
cool. You
said,
didn't need your mom.
he said, oh, you're cool, huh? And I looked at him and said, yes, I'm fine. That's not why I'm here. I'm here for my hours. Don't worry about her. I've never missed her. I don't know her, so I really don't care. He's like, okay, all right. And then he started writing. I'm like, what are you writing?
Wow.
I said, what are you writing? You're writing so much. He's like, oh, no, no, I'm just putting down a few things that I want to remember for later. I said, oh, okay, okay. And then we started going into, more in depth of what was going on with me. And that's when I realized, Marlene, I think probably with, I will say, sixth or seventh month of me going through this weekly routine is when I realized how broken I really was,
Wow.
how wrong I was, how hurt I had been by the absence of my mother, you know? And
Yeah.
so once I got the hang of it, I started opening up more and I started working with him. And he did say to me, oh my God, it's so much better now because I don't have to press on you to tell me something. You're
Wow.
working with me. Yes. How about for you?
Well, I can say for me, the first, I want to say like my first, maybe the first session that I had, that's the one I said I was going there for assistance with my siblings. And then after, she let me talk and talk and talk everything. And this is their problem and they have this problem. And then she asked me, she said, but okay, they did that, but why did you allow that? And I was like, but I'm not here for that. I'm here to get the to get the tips to help me to help them. So what I learned is that a lot of times we think that other people are the problem, but also it is a major problem if we allow toxicity, if we allow people to use and abuse us. Why didn't I have a voice to speak up and to say how I was feeling and the things that I was going through? That's a form of self-hatred as well.
And that's what I was going to go with as well is you find your voice. You know, I've said this to you before. I'm easy to say no now. Won't do it. Nope. Uh-uh. HE double L. Nope. I'm not doing it. But this is now, you know. Before, I will get attached um, to certain people that were in need, and it will pull at my heartstrings, and I will actually overdo things for them. And, if it was family, I didn't know, Marlene, until I started my therapy that there is boundaries to be have that have to be in place with family as well. I don't know if you learned this as well that there is boundaries, that it's okay to have boundaries with family members.
Mhm.
I thought it was just with outsiders.
Oh yeah. Well, my whole thing is that I had none. My whole
Exactly.
thing is because I would let everybody in my life, I let the job tell me how much hours. So one thing, I was a workaholic.
Mhm.
Another problem that I had is I didn't set boundaries. So that's the reason why I was always frustrated and disappointed, because if you don't state your objective and the things that you want and your desire, people are going to give you whatever they want to give you. And that just doesn't work. So I had to learn about, doing things healthy way and learning also to communicate what I wanted and needed. Whereas before, I just would say, like, you're my family, or we've been in a relationship, like, you should know, when the same thing was given right back to me. So other people in your family, do you know everything that they want? I was like, no, because they didn't tell me. So the same thing for you. So it's something that you have to learn. There's certain things that we don't get when we're younger. It's not until we get to a space in our life to where you say, I really don't know how to communicate that, or I don't know about boundaries. How do I set boundaries? And why do I allow toxicity and lots of other things that I was doing? And also, learning that things that happened to me as a child, I had taken into my adulthood. And no matter how we try to say, oh, I'm okay, and those things didn't affect me, but they really did.
Exactly. And those are the things that you learn as you go. Is that for me, like I said, I had no boundaries. I could be called any time of day or night for a favor, and I will get up and go and do it. You know what I mean? And I was already, with my family and stuff, and I would still allow people to do this to me, friends or family members. It didn't matter. They could call it any time, and I will go ahead and do it. So I had to, because if I learned, like I said, it wasn't something that. Let me go back a little bit. For me, therapy wasn't something that I thought of or even dreamed of having. Like I said to you before, is something that is taboo in our, my country and stuff like that. They pretty much tell you only crazy people go to those places, right? Only people that are, losing their minds or this and that, only those people seek that kind of help. And they end up in a loony bin. So you're like, oh my God, am I crazy? So I cannot do that. So it wasn't even a choice for me, when it was something that I had to do in order to acquire what I wanted in life. That's when it became clear to me that it's not taboo, that it's something that is there for whoever needs it, and that it shouldn't be looked on like it's something that there's something wrong with you, that you're, crazy or stuff like that. So once I started that, I started learning. I got my voice. First and foremost, I learned to say no. I can't. And I learned that even if I said no, I can't, I was not going to lose that person in my life. If that person was truly someone that cared for me,
Yeah.
and that was someone that, had regard for me when it came to my time and everything else. So I had to learn, you know, to voice things like that, because before I wouldn't do it because I was so afraid. If I say no, they're probably not gonna like me, right? That desire, that want to like me. And again, I was bringing all of that from childhood, Marlene. You're so right. All those things follow you. They don't stay in your childhood. They go
Yep.
with you everywhere you go until you work them out.
Yeah. It wasn't until I got to start going into therapy that I found out how much unresolved issues that I have, because if you don't work on the issues you had as a child and work on your inner child, especially if something major and traumatic happened to you at a certain age, honestly, you stay in that emotional state of the age where something happened to you. And for me, one of my biggest traumas in my life happened to me when I was 7 years old. So even in my adulthood, I would go back to being seven because I had never confronted my inner child and let my inner child know that everything is okay. So I'm so grateful that I learned those tools, and instead of isolating myself from others, taking it out on other people who had nothing to do with the situation, and learning how to heal and forgive, it wasn't until that I was able to deal with life and not act like a 7 year old as
They-
an adult.
exactly. And that's the same thing that happened to me, is that I didn't realize until I was in therapy that, those traumas, like you said, your childhood traumas follow you. Um, and how I was portraying and kind of like, um, I will say, like, overdoing certain things with my kids for overprotection because of those traumas. And sometimes because you don't work them out, like I said before, you end up hurting the people that you love because you still, with those traumas in you, you haven't worked them out. You still that 7 year old. You still the 5.5 year old. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah,
But in an adult body that is still fearful of anything like that happening to your loved ones.
right. And I found for me, it was like I was paralyzed with the fear because back in the day, nobody ever talked about anything. Everything was hidden. You didn't talk about whatever happened to you. It was like a no. And it was like, even if you were the victim of something happening, it was like you never talked about it. You had to keep it inside. And then that's another trauma on top of a trauma. So it's like you have all those unresolved issues, and then you start taking it out in your adult relationships. And then I didn't understand why other adults didn't want to be around me. I didn't realize how negative and toxic I had become because of all the years of holding everything inside.
Exactly, exactly. That stigma of, if it happens to you or if anybody does, you stay quiet. You say nothing to anybody because you fear, because you hear it so much, right? You hear others being judged for something that happens to them, that you fear that that's going to be you. So you have to stay quiet. And sometimes we don't even have an invitation to say something because our parents don't discuss things like that, or the grown-ups around us don't bring subjects that are important like that to us, right? Every time something happens, they hush, hush, don't say anything, be quiet, don't talk
Mhm.
about that here. So you don't have an opportunity to say something, and you hear sometimes when they're watching certain programs that they start judging the person, that the victim, rather than the victimizer. So
Right.
you stay even more quiet because of it.
Yeah. And for myself, I had to learn that even if was going to get judgments from other people, I had to make a choice that because I was at a place in my life where I was so angry. I was dealing with high blood pressure, lots of other issues, like anger management. Like I was angry at the world for everything that I had been keeping inside of me since I was 7 years old. And then, like as you age, more and more things happen to you. So I was becoming an impossible person to deal with. I was the
Mm,
definition of an angry Black woman, and I didn't want to be the stereotype, and I didn't want to be the person like, why doesn't anybody want to be around me? Why don't people like me?
mm.
And I was the solution to that. But I had to first admit that I needed help. And I think that that's where the issue begins with most people because they want to cover it up. They don't want their family to know that they're going to get help and they're too ashamed. So they just continue to cover it up.
Exactly, and that's the reason why for me, I'm very grateful that I had to, that I was requested to, because I don't think I would have ever, maybe, I'm not sure, but I don't think that I would have ever gone there, to seek the help that I desperately needed, didn't know I wanted, you know what I mean? And didn't even know I needed. So I'm very grateful for that because now I can actually tell people, you can benefit. If I see something, I will say you can benefit, from therapy. Maybe you should think about it. Something that nobody ever said to me, Marlene.
Exactly.
You
Um,
know,
And
yeah.
I think and I think that that's so important. Next to what you just said, that is so important that what I had to learn to as well. We have to get away from what our family thinks, what other people's opinions are of us, and how they view getting help. Where it's like I was in a sinking ship. Like not literally, Nexi. I if I did not get therapy, I'm 100% positive I would not be here anymore.
I'm
100% positive,
I'm so
because
sorry for that.
I had went through 4 attempts to unalive myself.
Oh my
So
God.
I know that probably it was just a miracle, I believe, that I it was not successful. But how many times are you going to try to unalive yourself? Maybe the fifth time would have been the finality. You know what I mean?
I'm grateful that it didn't work. I'm grateful that you're here with us and that you're able to be this, ray of positivity around us, and that you didn't succeed in the attempts that you had on you, because the world would have missed an amazing person, Marlene.
I know, and the only reason why I'm saying it, I'm not saying this. I don't want sympathy. I just want to share my story honestly, because there's a lot of people who they don't make it, that they were feeling like I felt, but because other people say, oh, you just need to, this one, you just need to pray about it, or
Mm.
you just need to write it down in a journal. And while those things are good, I don't discount those things, but I needed more than that.
Oh, I know what you need, a vacation.
Oh
That's what you
yeah.
need. Or you know what? A new outfit. I feel that that's going to cheer you up. They're not listening to you, they're not hearing you. And it's why sometimes we get into the dark place, right?
Yeah.
Yep. I, like I said, now I have the ability, Marlene, of telling those people around me that said that therapy is for crazy people, or, they deserve to be in one of those locked up facilities because that's the only people that go there. I can tell them, no, that's not true. And second, you probably need to be locked up in one of those facilities because that's not the right thing to say to someone.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, no, you cannot. You shouldn't say things like that, because a lot of people benefit from this. A lot of people stop wanting to unalive themselves because they finally are understanding what's going on with them. So don't discredit, don't discount therapy.
Yeah, and you know what I will say in addition to that, Nexie, is that until you get to find your voice, like
Hmm.
I did, you have to reach out and talk to somebody. So that's how it was for me initially. Initially, I needed to have a conversation with somebody and tell them like the crazy thoughts that I was having in my head.
Hmm.
And if you don't, unfortunately, some people will actually follow through with those thoughts that you have in your head.
Exactly.
So that's
But
that's important.
wasn't it the most beautiful thing, Marlene? I'm sorry to interrupt you because you said something about crazy thoughts. But wasn't that beautiful thing knowing that you're not the only one that has them? That you
Yeah,
were not alone on this? I just wanted to ask that.
yeah. I found so much comfort in knowing that, wow, I was like, other people need help too.
Mm.
That made me feel good, because I'll just say it this way. A lot of times the people that are around us, because they are toxic, it will
Hmm.
be revealed what they are, you
Yes.
know? So
Yes.
that's one of the reasons I found out why they didn't want me to go to therapy, because once you start going to therapy, you're no longer going to enable them.
Hmm.
You're no longer going to be their bank. You're not going to be so many things. And they don't want you to mature. And especially if you're in a relationship,
Oh, yeah. Oh,
people who are
especially then.
toxic, they get
Hmm.
so mad when you go to therapy, because now you won't do everything for them in a
Yes.
toxic way. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. The significant other of ours, sometimes when you start going to therapy and you find your voice, and they cannot manipulate you anymore, um, they start lashing out. They don't like it because they're not in control anymore. And that's the beauty of this, is that once you get the help that you need, and it has to be the right person for you, to give you this particular help. It has to be the right therapist. You know what I mean? Once you
Yeah.
get there, that those are romantic partners. If they're toxic and narcissistic, they don't like it, because they become eventually ancient history.
Yeah. Once you begin to love yourself and identify
Hmm.
toxicity, there's certain things that you're no longer going to deal with. So it's like you automatically, they start falling out of your life because you're not interested in doing the things that you used to do. And I learned that when once I started to work on my mental health and remove toxic things and learn how to deal with it and cope with those things, then I was able to actually not have to have things to cover up. And that was my issue too, because of the things that I endured in my life. I had very bad I had very bad vices like drinking. Um, Even I got into the thing. I don't know if you guys know about it, but cutting. I started doing cutting. So
Hmm.
it's a lot of things that you get involved in when you when you need help.
Yeah.
And once you get the help, you don't need those vices anymore. You know
Yes.
how to deal with life without them.
Without needing that output, you know how to soothe yourself. You know how to talk to your inner child and your grown-up adult. For me, Marlene, I've always loved myself very much, right? My dad um, put that in me, and all of us, self-love always in the forefront. But what I found out when I started therapy, that my therapist asked me this question. I get it, you love, because I told him I love myself very much. I said, I take care of myself. I take pride in who I am. I said, I'm a very confident person. I am this, I am that. So I love myself. There's no such a thing. I will never do anything to jeopardize me, to harm myself. And he said, okay, but are you loving yourself the right way? And I looked at him and I'm like, what? That didn't make sense for me, because I was like, what do you mean the right way? Is there like a wrong way to do it?
Yeah, and there
What he,
is.
yes, that's exactly what happened. What he meant was, yes, you love yourself. Yes, you do everything for you. You take care of yourself. You do this, you do that. But then you're actually allowing others to control you, to take your time, to use you. For the love of you, all those things need to be in balance.
Mhm.
And I was like, he's crazy. He don't know what he's talking about. He don't know.
Yeah,
He cray
yeah.
cray.
Yeah, and you think that you know things so well, and you're like, but all this time I've been doing it this way. And I think what my therapist told me was one of the most profound things that she told me. Just because you've been doing something for a long time, it doesn't mean that it's good for you. And
Mine,
I was looking at her like, what are you saying?
mine said to me, how's that working out for you? I was like, what? Yes, you said that this is who you are. This is the way you do things. This is the way that, you love yourself. But how is that working out for you? And I looked at him. I'm like, fine. And but the funny thing here, Marlene, is that I used to go home after therapy and say, no, he's wrong. No, there's no way. No, he's not right. I mean, this is how I've been. This is how, everybody loves me. I'm so good to everybody. Everybody loves me. Everybody's good to me. Excuse me. And what I didn't understand is that everybody was good to me because they wanted something from me, not because they truly cared. or they
Yeah.
truly love me.
Yeah,
So sorry, my
they only wanted to be around you for what they could get from you.
and but I don't know if you went through the same thing too, Marlene. Is that when he will say or she will say something to you, you will be like, "She's wrong. She's wrong. There's no way I'm like this." I don't know if you did that.
No, I never said that they were wrong. I got mad because I knew it was true. That was my problem. When she told would tell me things, like it would be like she would tell me something, and then I would cancel the next therapy session, and then I would go back once I calmed down. So I'd be like, I'm not going back. I was like, I'm done with therapy. And then I was thinking about it, and I'd be like, they're right. And then I would go right back. And then she would tell me something. I'm not going back. So yeah, my, my,
No.
my issue was my ego.
Yes, yes, that darn ego, right? How it gets hurt when they're putting your entire life in your face. And I don't mean the good parts of it. I mean the mistakes you have been making by not taking accountability, right? When they do that to you, you're like, I'm not coming back. That's it. That's not even me. That's not who I am. I have a balance. I have checks and balances. I know how to do
Mhm.
all those things. Like, how dare you? I will go home and say, no, he's wrong. I bet you he was writing something because he was even questioning what he said to me.
no, I was saying, I'm not paying you every week for you to make me mad and cry.
I couldn't use that one, Marlene, because it was part of the school.
Oh,
But I would have. I would have if I would
yeah,
have
you would
needed.
have, yeah. Because
No.
my whole thing is the therapy was very expensive, but
Yes.
because I was working in the medical field, they gave me a good discount, so that's the only I started going because of that. But then I had to continue because I started to see that like I was healthier. Because I started giving up certain vices, I
Yes.
wouldn't be around certain people. So people are like, "You're changing," and I was like, "I'm changing." And then I thought
Really?
about it and I was like, I really am changing.
Yeah, I started feeling probably within oh, because another thing that I was getting into, Marlene, was biting my nails to the point of bleeding. That's how bad my fingernails, like to the point of making them bleed. That's how bad it was. Sometimes my I don't want to say anxiety, but it was, I think, anxiety. I will bite them and bite them and bite them, and it will make them bleed, and then patch them up, and then go on the next day. You know what I mean? Like, it was something so pervasive, and
Yeah.
my skin. What I started noticing, and I think it was probably months after. Because I don't know if I've said this to you before. I don't look at myself in the mirror often. I don't, and I remember now it started when I started getting those like scarring around my cheeks and stuff like that. That my skin was peeling, and that's when I started not looking at myself. I'm like, it's okay. I'll fix it later. I'll look at myself later. But I wouldn't do that because my skin was so dry. And the worst thing is that, even if I put lotion, it wouldn't do anything because it was the stress, Marlene, all the anxiety I had inside, all those unworked things that I was carrying with me, that I had to let out. I needed to face them, and I needed to work on them. The minute I did that, my skin was okay. I'm not biting my nails. I'm not suffering those, you know, anxiety attacks anymore. I'm not, sometimes I get them, but I know how to work on them, right? I know how to work them.
Hmm.
And when the thoughts come rushing over of what happened to me when I was little, I work on them. I don't push them away anymore.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
and all those things, having therapy has made my life so much better. So much
Yeah.
better.
Yeah, I agree with you, Nexie, because I can say that before my issue always was is that I never had any coping tools.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in a very dysfunctional family where there was absolutely no communication, there was no affection. It was just like actually I felt like I lived in a boarding house. Like all these people like we're all just roommates.
Yes.
And I do believe that my family actually loved one another, but everybody was in their own world dealing with their own issues, and nobody was having conversations. And
Exactly.
I was like, I don't like this. So I
Mm-hmm.
promised myself when I got to be an adult and I was in charge of, others, that I wasn't going to continue that cycle of negativity and toxicity. And I knew that that meant I was going to have to now finally face everything that I had been running from
Mm-hmm.
for how many years. I remember that day in therapy, I went in there and I brought sneakers and I said, I'm not going to run anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you bring your, there's a point, and this is what a lot of people don't understand, is that there is a point where it clicks because you start seeing how much better you are with the therapy as compared to before therapy,
Mhm.
right? And it clicks, and you're like, wait a minute, this is actually good for me. you know
Right.
Exposing everything is like, exposing your entire self, exposing and working on it and getting the tools I need. Well, Mylene needed them for to fix her family.
Yeah.
But I just needed the hours. But getting those tools make your life so much better, and those around you that depend on your mental, stability, emotional stability, all those people around you become so much better because you're continuing on with this therapy.
Right. And you know what? When if you're not okay, the people around you won't be okay. So I learned
Thank you.
that when I started working on myself, I became better in all my relationships. All my relationships improved because now I wasn't doing the toxic behavior. I wasn't angry anymore. I had completely changed. Like, I started smiling. I was taking care of myself. I lost weight, complete big changes from where I was before. So I'm not giving medical advice. I'm just being 100% honest that once you start working on yourself, uh, for me, I learned how to cope with life and I was not as anxious as I used to be.
Exactly, Marlene. For me, it was more like the how can I put it? The overprotection or over control, over loving that I had for my kids, and for some of the people around me. I learned to balance it out because sometimes, the fears of your kids going through what you went through, at least for me, okay. And yeah, I'm not giving medical advice either. I'm just, telling you guys what happened to me in therapy. That I was able to balance it out because I was freaking my kids out. I was over loving them, overwhelming them with my need to know where they were at, my need to constantly reassure them, constantly making myself reassured that they were okay. You sometimes can traumatize your own kids because you're of your own work business. So for me, it made a huge difference in also allowing me to have a voice when it came to um, saying no. The inability I had, Marlene, of saying no to certain things that I knew I didn't want to do, but because I wanted to be the light, the love, that everything, I continue to say yes to things that should have been a no from the beginning. So when I learned to say all those things, the peace of mind I had, the ability to think before I agreed to something, even if it was family, right? It was so much better for me because I had a lot of more free time to work on myself. I had a lot more time to be, trying to improve the family around me. And so for me, it was like night and day,
Mhm.
really night and day.
Right.
It's a change like that.
And also, Nexi, I also had a lot of money, a lot more money.
Yeah, me too. Remember I told you I had so much more money, Marlene. I had so much more extra. I had, I could buy whatever I wanted. I wasn't worried that I had to go and ask this whoever came and borrow money from me for money back, because now I had the ability to say no. Nope. But
Yeah,
I'm your niece, I'm your nephew. I'm not your mama,
mhm,
so don't worry about
yeah.
that.
Yep, and because you're not wasting your money on other people, I could start focusing on what I needed to do and start, paying my bills on time. So my credit score improved. I was able to
Yes.
build, I was able to have fun, and then I found myself smiling, liking myself more. My anxiety went down. So I became a better person because I learned about boundaries and I knew about coping tools. And one of the best things, like I have to say, that I got out of seeking help is I know when I'm getting to a 10. Like I
Mm-hmm.
know when I get to my thing is when I get to 5, I need to run away because I know when I get to 6 or 7.
It's the point of no return.
Some people can go to 10. I can't go to 10. I cannot go to 10. I can only go to probably 4 or 5, and then it's over for me. So, yeah, it's all of that. Oh no, Nexie dropped off. It's okay, Nexie. Um, I was just about to bring this to a conclusion anyway. So, thank you everybody for coming to today's Sip and Chat. I really do appreciate each and every one of you. And to anybody who's listening on the replay or those of you in the live, I hope that if you are not coping with your life well mentally, or you've been through some traumas, or you've had some difficulties in your life, don't go at it alone, okay? Don't go at it alone. Keep your head up, everybody. Everybody be encouraged, and just know that you don't have to be strong and tough for family. Even if your family doesn't like it, do what you need to do for your personal mental health. Hey Ranger, how are you doing? Welcome, and shout out to everybody who was here in the chat today. Puzzle Pieces, my wonderful co-host Nicole, realist one here, and Anita Sweet and Baby Girl Vibes. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you all so much for supporting Love Marlene 411, and take your breaks if you need to take a break. Seek a therapist. This is not medical advice, but I just wanted to share what has helped me, that has supported me, that has made me feel so good, that has lessened my anxiety, that's helped me with my vices, that's helped with my blood pressure and not being angry. Like I'm a much better person since I have asked for help. So anybody who needs help, don't be afraid to ask for help, because it's out there for us, but we have to be willing to check our ego at the door and ask for that help. Thank you so much for tuning in to Love Marlene 411. I really appreciate each and every one of you. I hope you have the life that you love, and if you don't, you find ways to get it. And I'll see you guys on the next Love Marlene 411 next Thursday. Thank you so much, everybody, and have a great rest of your evening.